Hi, this is Bob from Hobby Concepts, and today I'm going to talk about the new firmware upgrade for the Paladin PL18 EV radio. Now it's June 2022. This update just came out. You might be saying, why should I do it? You should do it. It's completely awesome. How do I do it? I'm going to show you how. And it updates the transmitter, but also updates the receivers, and it's important to see how the receivers update, because now this has the capability to bind multiple receivers at the same time and chain them. So you can take, say, an 8-channel receiver and hook it 1 through 8, and another one and hook it 9 through 16 without patch cords between them. It is the most awesome feature I've ever seen. You're going to want to update your radio. You're going to want to watch this video. So let's get started. Okay, so in my ongoing PL18 EV adventures, they just released a new software update. Right now it's early June of 2022. So to update your PL18 EV, you go to the Flysky website, you go to the PL18 EV page, and you go to Downloads and Upgrade, and then you scroll down here and it'll say Firmware Update 6/7/2022. You download it and it'll download. Now, one thing about updating this radio, and I don't know why they do this, why they couldn't figure this out, but when you update it, it erases all your programming. So you either want to carefully document all your programs or back them up before you update it. Now, this is a brand spanking new radio that does not have any programming done to it yet, so I'm good with that. So to update it, you need to go to the menu. I know I'm a long ways away, it's a little hard to see, but I'll describe it good. You go to the second page and you go to System, and then you scroll down to Firmware Update and click Yes. And transmitter's updating at firmware, and you've got this firmware here, and you click it and click Update, and away we go. So it takes a while, but it will eventually go through this update process. I'll be back when it's ready to go. Okay, so my progress bar is done and it's uploaded, and now I've got a screen showing on my PL18, so I'm going to actually zoom in on that so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, you can stay on the screen here. It says, for better experience, please follow the steps below for initial settings before use. And the first one is a stick calibrate. Please put sticks and knobs in. Oh, okay, I've got to do this first. Move the sticks maximum. Okay. Oh yeah, all the knobs too. That one too. Okay. Those two. I think that should give me everything. Okay. Calibration set exit. Update RF. Okay, and that's just a button push. We're updating that. Update success. Start using. You need to updating the receiver's firmware and rebind before use. Okay, no problem. Okay, so now we're back to our main menu. We should be able to go to the system menu. Go to About, and we're 1.0.28 May 16th, 2022. So, successfully updated it. That's how you update your PL18 EV. So now that the transmitter is updated, the receivers have to be updated. And I'm going to go through the receiver update procedure. It's not complicated, but you have to do it correctly. And once they're updated, Then I'm going to show you a couple of the new features which are unbelievably cool. So let me get to the receiver updates. Okay, so in order to update the receiver, you need the receiver and you need a receiver power source. So, you know, something to power the receiver with. And in the manual, they've also updated the manual, so I recommend that you download the new manual. They talk about binding the receivers. Now here in this section, they talk about the classic versions receiver, the 10, the 4, and the 16S, that I am no longer going to use any of those receivers. The receivers I'm going to use are the 8B and the 12B. Those are the enhanced receivers, and so I'm going to go through the enhanced receiver binding. They do explain it in the manual, but it's a little complicated to think about, so let me show you how to do it. Okay, before we can bind the receiver, we have to update it. To update it, we have to put it into the enhanced bind mode, I think they call it. So what you do is you hold the bind button down, plug in power, and you have to hold it for about 10 seconds. So we'll hold it, and after it starts up, you'll see this thing start to flash 3 times. Okay. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that means that's in the receiver update mode. So now we go to the RX setup. We scroll all the way down to receiver update, and this is an 8B. So we're going to pick an 8B, and we're going to update, and we're going to click OK. And it shows an updating bar here on the radio, and it'll flip to another page. You have to wait till it's completely done. It says update success, and then see it flip to another page. It's updating some more. Just got to be patient at this point. Keep the screen turned on. Okay, it's done. So now I can take the power out. I can go back to the RX setup, and now I can go to bind setting. Now bind setting, let me zoom in on the screen a little bit better. Okay, so here I've got my bind screen, and you can see here we have routine 18 channel, or fast 8 channel, or classic 18 channel. You'd use the classic for the old style receivers. We're going to use the routine 18 channel. We have two-way communication and multiple receivers. Multiple receivers, that is so awesome. Oh my gosh. But anyway, right now we're just going to bind one receiver. So we're going to plug this baby in, push the bind button down, plug it in. Okay, it's flashing. And so we have two-way communication, one receiver, and click the bind button. Got it.
Binding.
And it'll bind.
Bind successful.
Okay, so I'll plug in a servo here.
Signal lost.
Yeah, I know the signal's lost, but we're going to put this back in, and we have a successful bind on our receiver. So that's how you do it. You update it, and then you bind it. Now, this is the slick thing, slick as a whistle. So I'll unplug this. It's going to tell me the signal's lost.
Signal lost.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so now I'm going to take another 8-channel receiver. So I've got two 8-channel receivers. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set those as a 16-channel receiver. Now, the way you do that, of course, is you bind one. We're going to go multi-receiver right here. Okay. What that's saying is if you do this, you got to rebind the receiver. So, okay, so we've got the primary receiver, and we pick the starting channel. So this is going to start on channel 1. So we're going to bind it. We're going to push the button down, turn it on until it's flashing. Okay, we're going to bind it. Got
Binding.
it?
Bind successful.
Okay, so that one's bound. Now we're going to take the second receiver. We're going to set it in the bind mode. We're going to start it at channel 9. So we have 1 through 8 on the first receiver, and 9 through 16 on the second receiver. We're going to click bind. Got it.
Binding. Bind successful.
Okay. So I'll zoom back out here, and so I showed the binding on the screen, but now I wanted to show kind of the whole thing. So this receiver is now channel 1 through 8, and this one is 9 through 16, so that's the same thing as a 16 channel receiver. Obviously, if we had a 12, we'd go through 12, we'd start this one at 13. Or you can even overlap them. You could go 1 through 8 and 6 through, if you wanted to have 2 channels for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, you could, your imagination run wild. If you had a truck and a trailer, you might put one receiver in the trailer, have some channels overlap and some different. Really cool. So anyway, these are bound, so I can plug in a servo here. I'll plug in a servo here, and so channel 1 is that channel right here, and channel 9 is that channel right there. So now I have obviously 16 channels between those two receivers. You don't need to buy a 16 or an 18 channel receiver. You have great flexibility in how you can set it up, and that's the coolest new feature of the update on this radio. They've got some dual rate updates. There's a update guide you can print out. There's also a quick start guide on every little detail. Like these, they've got some new dual rate curves, but this multi-receiver thing is just, I've never seen anything like it. It's fantastic. Let me go through that one more time. Okay, one more time. I'm leaving the camera zoomed out so I can show the receivers. We're going to set the radio on the RX setup. These have both been updated, and I've got a 12 channel and an 8 channel. So we're going to start with the bind setting. We've got it set to the multi-receivers, and we're going to start this 12 channel receiver, binding it on come on, fat fingers. Okay, channel 1, so we're going to bind it.
Binding. Bind successful.
Okay, so we got channel 1 through 12. Now on the second one, we're going to start it at 13, since we got the first 12 channels there. Plug it into power. Come on, put the bind button down. Oh, helps if I use a battery. Okay, there we go. So it's on, starting on channel 13, so we'll bind it.
Binding. Bind successful.
Okay, so now we have channels 1 through 12 here, and 13 through 18 here. And I can plug in a servo, and there's channel 13. We'll go back to the display servos. You can see channel 13 right there. Channel 9 and 13, I have them both set there, but yes, we have channel 1 will be on this one. 13 through here. So I just can't get over how awesome this is. What a neat feature. So there you go. Now the question of how do you get an 18 channel receiver is super easy. You just use a 12 and an 8, and you've got 18 available channels. No interconnects between the receivers. They can operate separately, together. It's completely awesome. In the future, I'm going to do a video on hooking up the S-Bus to a Bayer SFR1 and a USM RC-3 for people who are into the fancy electronics. But I did want to go through the updates and the receiver updates. So again, on the receiver, you have to update the receiver by setting into that hard update mode, holding that for 10 seconds. And once it's updated, then you can bind it. and also the 12s and the 8s are the receivers to get. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got one of these radios, this I think will straighten out the updates. I did check, and if you do the update, it erases everything. So write down your settings, save them, do whatever before you update. And the other thing is, when I did the update, it shows the calibration. I moved all the knobs. You need to move the knobs. You don't need to move the switches. Okay, just all the knobs, and rotate when it asks you for the calibration. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a really incredible radio. I love it. You just can't run out of things to do with it. If you've got a tracked vehicle, a truck, a ship, something that needs a complicated radio, this will do anything, and I've never seen anything quite like it. It is really cool. So there you go. Thanks again for watching. See you next time. Oh, thumbs up, and please subscribe. Later.